What's up, everyone? Having a good day. Today, we have something special. We're going to be talking to a buddy of mine on how to get into IT and transition to cyber. We're going to throw him out some questions. And if you have any questions on the journey, feel free to ask. So here he is. His name is Devin, and I'm going to join him in now. What's up, Devin?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Good, good, good. So thank you for tuning in or joining the chat this morning. So
Yeah, man.
how's it going?
Not bad. Not bad. Thanks for having me. Just hanging out, getting ready for the holiday weekend. Go out on the boat, have some fun, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I wish I had a boat. I'm too poor for that.
No, you don't. It costs a lot of money to have a boat.
That's cool. That's cool. So we'll probably wait a few minutes, let some people join, and chop it up and
Sounds
talk
good.
about how your journey. I really want to get into cyber. Cool, John.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about how you even got interested, right? I know a little bit about your backstory. If people out there want to know, like, we know each other outside of this, so
Right.
we chop it up at times, and
Yeah.
it should be an interesting, because everyone has their own path into IT, into cyber, into cloud, whatever it may be. But
Right.
yeah, so Cyber Monkey just got out of the gym, get jacked, ready to hack.
That motto is starting to grow.
Stay jacked or get hacked,
Right.
and get swole. But yeah, so for anyone, obviously, like if you're tuning in now, awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out for the next hour or so. And if you catch this on YouTube after, if you have any questions, throw it in the chat or join my Discord. He's on my Discord, so you can hit him up, and we'll talk about how to find him and all that stuff at the end. But all right, cool, man. So how did you get into IT? Like what caused your sparked your interest? What, about this field was like, oh, I want to do that versus what you were doing?
So I've always been into tech, kind of somewhat different from you, I guess I should say. You were, but as you talk about quite a bit, you weren't never really into video games or anything like that. And I grew up playing a lot of video games, into computers, just enjoyed anything tech, anything to do with anything like that. I was always big into that. Um, so yeah, and so right out of high school, I thought that was possibly something that I wanted to do. Ended up going a different direction. Went into college for a little bit, maybe half a semester or something like that. Got a job offer to go work in the oil field because oil field's really big where I'm at in Oklahoma, and it paid really good money. So I'm like, oh look, I can make this money right now, and that's kind of what I did. And I worked there for about 10 years. And at the end of my tenure there, I started helping out with some software development, not really doing it myself, but working kind of closely with the software development team there. Kind of a liaison, because I had some tech background, some basic knowledge of stuff and how things worked, and it just kind of, since I was halfway into it, it kind of flowed, I guess, for me to communicate that to our clients at the time, that I could help them, I could be the middleman or whatever, and understand the software and what it was going to take to make it, and give them realistic, when they asked for something, I could, without this whole long chain of process that they go through, like say, okay, well, this is going to be really hard to implement and all that stuff. And so as I was going through that, I was like, I don't want to do what I'm doing in the oil field anymore. IT is what I've liked to do. I want to get back into it. And I had to travel a lot with that business too, with the oil field. I actually got transferred to Michigan. I took a management position for that company when I really started doing the tech stuff and growing that sector and trying to sell that implementation to some refineries and stuff like that. And so we moved up there, kind of picked up, transplanted the whole family up there, and it wasn't home. And so that was kind of one of the things. I was like, you know what, this is the time. Gonna try to transition. So we moved back to Oklahoma. I went to work for a buddy of mine doing mechanic work because that was something else I like. I'm big into cars, always have been, done mechanic work. So I went and worked for him for about 2 years while I was just kind of getting ready to transition into IT cyber. I actually when I first started looking into IT, I didn't even know what cyber security was, that it was its own field. I just thought, oh, this is something, security is something that everybody in IT does. There's no specialized field. And as I started, learning and watching stuff on YouTube, watching you on YouTube, watching Heath Adams on YouTube, all the guys, Zach, for over there at TCM Security, Zach Hill, watching all that stuff, I just went down a rabbit hole, and I'm like, okay, cyber's what I want to do. But I didn't have really any skills, I mean, it was just, I knew basically I built all my own computers. I knew how to do all that stuff, but I didn't really know like the deep intricacies of Active Directory. I mean, anything that you need to be a basic, help desk person. So I started teaching myself that. I used some of your videos on Active Directory, setting them up. KevTech, I've watched some of his stuff. Just kind of went down the YouTube rabbit holes, taught myself basic networking, the OSI model, DHCP, DNS. Just started doing all the little stuff, and like that's kind of how I ended up where I am today. Just tried to take in as much as I could.
Cool. Yeah, and that's definitely an awesome story, right? Like getting into the oil field, getting into mechanic now here. So the what I'm hearing from everything, right? Like everyone has their own path, like so right now you are working as a technical support engineer or doing so how did you get your first job and like what is your day-to-day in IT today? And is it what you expected?
So no, because I work for MSP, so a little bit different than help desk. Help desk is, you know, a lot more small stuff localized to one business 90% of the time. With the MSP, you're exposed to everything. I mean, I do a little bit of security stuff like phishing emails and stuff like that. I mean, not anything crazy into the security, but I do the investigation on that, look and see if it's phishing, report it to Microsoft, all that little stuff. Not a whole lot. We do some security stuff, but I haven't been pushed in that direction yet, as I'm very new. Only been there about a month, a little over a month. Um, but it's more than just password resets and stuff like that. I look into whenever an access point fails, or whenever one of our probes that assist inside of a business fails. Probes are how we monitor things, especially if we don't have like a domain controller or a server there that we can actively get into to monitor all the systems that are in there. But actually, Pat's the one that helped me get this job. He had a buddy of his that was looking for somebody, and Pat was like, "Hey, you should apply for this." And so I did. So Pat was instrumental in helping me, get this job, which is awesome, and I'm super grateful for. But yeah, when I came into this, I really didn't know what to expect. I was like, oh yeah, I played around with Azure, which if you're not, definitely look into the cloud environment and stuff like that, because everybody, I mean, it's where it's going. So I mean, Azure's not like crazy cloud servers or anything, especially like I don't deal with a whole lot of that yet. There we use it a lot, but I don't like implement it, or I haven't done any on-prem to cloud migrations yet. They've done a bunch of that as they were there, or as before I was there, but I haven't actually been involved in any of that yet. Most of mine is just your basic setting up
Administration.
accounts. Yeah, administration. Yeah, setting up accounts, all that good stuff. Onboarding new employees for clients, offboarding employees for clients, that basic type of stuff. But yeah, so it's been a lot more than I expected. Like I said, I'd played around with some Active Directory on my own home lab, just getting used to it, understanding group policy, understanding how all that works. And yeah, when I came over here, there's a lot. It definitely helped. But man, I've just in the last month I've learned an incredible amount that I wasn't even really aware of. It's just the little stuff that comes up, because you don't really. It's hard to learn. It's hard to learn about all the little issues that can come up unless you just do them. That's like the main thing, is
Hmm.
once they come up, you really start, as you're running into these weird issues that you're not going to run into unless you're working in an environment where there's thousands of people that you're dealing with, and an incident comes up. So yeah, it's definitely a lot different, but just just keep doing the home lab. The home lab stuff works, and watching the YouTube videos, man, it makes a big difference. It gives you the foundation for sure.
Yeah, and that's definitely like I can pivot off that. So like say for example your home lab, right? The home lab is good to understand the fundamentals and foundation of what you're building,
Yeah.
right? So you know you're adding this IP as your DC or your domain controller. This is your DNS server. This is going to be your clients that are joining that. And maybe in your house, I wouldn't think you probably have more than 5 clients and 2 domain controllers, unless you're
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Unless you like
Yeah.
have some crazy environment that like some people out there have like a full blown Active Directory in their house. Like I actually do. Like I'm running AD in an environment. Like I have a radio server. I don't have just like my Wi-Fi. It authenticates to a radio server. I don't use a pre-shared key. So um, so yeah, that's besides the point. But yeah, like now we know this environment. Now you go work for an MSP, and that's why I love MSPs, right? Because you're exposed to so much technology. You're not just honed in on one thing. And so like you said, today can be a scanner issue. Tomorrow can be like maybe a Meraki access point issue. Maybe
Mhm.
this Palo Alto is not connecting, and you have to do this. Or maybe this person got hacked, so now we have to do triage and remediation. And so there's always something. Some people, it's not for some people, right? It's very, very overwhelming. It can be very, like, oh man, this is way too much. Like always go, 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 because
Yeah, for
you have
sure.
client A calling, then client B calling, and client C calling, etc. So, this, I guess you really can't compare, but like, would you recommend to someone that's new, like an MSP be your first gig, or like go work your traditional help desk, learn the environment, and then go on from there?
So honestly, I think it kind of depends on the person, because everybody learns a little bit different, and everybody can handle it. So I think the being in the oil field helped me a bunch, because it's always right here, right now, especially with what I did in the inspection industry. When something happens at the plant, they need you right now. You may be doing 100 different things at once, trying to keep yourself organized and take care of them and keep them happy. With the difference between what I think, and again, I've never worked in a typical help desk role. Just from what I've done when I was researching and learning, you're a lot more slow paced at a help desk. They got a lot more people focused on one client most of the time, especially in a bigger organization. That stuff gets, it seems like it's a lot more laid back. With an MSP, like you said, you're go, 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 go. I may be dealing with almost 3 or 4 different clients at the same time. I may have just reached out to one and they didn't answer, so I jumped onto another ticket. Now I'm getting a phone call from that last person while I'm on this other ticket, working through just a basic password reset. But so I'm doing a password reset, and this person's Excel's running slow, so I'm remoting into their computer at the same time. So you may be doing several different things. If you can handle that, and that's something that you like, because I love that. I love being pushed. I love, being put into, just into it. That's how I work. That's how I like to
Yeah,
work. I like consistently
being
um
busy.
being busy. Yeah, exactly. If I'm not doing something, I'm like right now, like our dispatcher for where I work. If I don't have something going on, I'm constantly reaching out. Hey, I'm caught up on my queue. What else you got? I want to stay
Yeah,
busy. It makes the day go by faster. Plus, I'm learning more stuff. So
yeah.
I kind
So
of like, on that question. I think it depends on the person. If you don't want that fast pace, then definitely go and start. Or if you think you need to learn at a slower pace at first, you're not ready. Because even though I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. Whenever I came into it, it was like I said, I was not. I wouldn't say I wasn't as ready as I thought I was, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I definitely I had to catch on quick, and
yeah,
learn.
yeah. So we have this question here. Do you build your home lab out of your own devices in your household, or using VMs?
Both.
So I guess I'll go first,
Yeah, go
right?
ahead.
Like if you're asking me, yes, I use my own devices. When you say using VMs, because I'm using my own devices and my VMs are on my own devices. So if you're saying like, do I use physical servers or do I use like my desktop and use virtual machines like VMware or Hyper-V or VirtualBox? I use both. I have a physical domain controller in back of me, and then under here I have an ESXi host. So I have both, and my ESXi host runs a lot of my EVE-NG when I was studying for like CCNA, CCNP, CCIE stuff, because it's, I can build out bigger networks than like just running on my local machine. And then mostly for my pen testing stuff, my hacking stuff, I run it in VMs. So that's pretty much my way of setting up my home lab. And then I have a rack. I don't know if you can see it back here, that I have like a NAS and I have everything connected. So yeah, I use my own devices.
Yeah, and I'm kind of both, because I have played around with if we're talking about some cloud stuff, AWS and both Azure has some free stuff where you can jump on there and spin up things to learn cloud environments. But yeah, most of my stuff are my own devices, and as well I have a old retired Dell R720 that I use and spin up a bunch of virtual machines. I'm running ESXi as well on there. I have an older desktop that I've turned into another server. I bought some used enterprise grade switches. I've got a Dell switch, a Netgear switch, some access points. eBay is great for that stuff. You can buy, I mean, I don't even think I have 700, 800 bucks in everything that I've got. And this has been over several years of me buying it, but it was instrumental of learning, like iDRAC. I learned iDRAC from my Dell, learning how to change settings and do all that stuff. I never would have known what an iDRAC was if I wouldn't have got that thing. And then that's something you'll run into. I've jumped on one of the Dell servers at our office and gone in on iDRAC to troubleshoot some stuff on there. So
without that home lab, you wouldn't have known how to get into iDRAC.
Yeah, exactly. We had one where a power supply showed that it was failed. They have redundant power supplies in those things, and so I had to go in there, see what was going on. I ended up just being a cable came unplugged, but still, you go in there to confirm, and that's how I knew how to do that. So
So cryptocurrency investing. This is a buddy of mine. He's being a wise guy, but how do you get as smart as Pat? I don't know. I'm not that smart, but what do you think, Devin? How do you answer that question? How do you get as smart as me?
Try to bust out as many certifications as you can. If anybody doesn't know, Pat's got a few certifications. No, I mean, yeah, just I don't know whether to answer this in the wise guy format or be realistic here.
Yeah, no, I have quite a few, and the ones on the wall, there's some of mine, but I have quite a few. But here's another one. Let's see. How is your room so quiet with all the stuff running? That's a very good question. I don't know. I guess crypto. His name is Derek. When you come into this office, is it loud when you come in? I don't know, because I don't hear it. Like, maybe I don't know if I'm just accustomed to it. So many. Yeah, I have a lot of certs. And yeah, I don't like to toot my horn. I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to make it seem like I'm just bragging about the certifications I have. We could talk about why I have so many and why I would get a certain cert. I can answer that, but yeah, I don't think it's that loud. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not loud. I don't know.
Well, but probably a lot of it has to do with the gate on your microphone. That the noise suppression.
Yeah, maybe.
There. Yeah. That's why they can't hear. Because mine's definitely loud. I can hear mine going right now, and they're right on the other side of my monitor here.
So, anyone got any opportunities for me to join a new SOC team? That's a good question. I think the best way to do this, Bellman, I think just putting yourself out there, I don't know if you're asking if I know anyone that's hiring, or if you're, looking for a new opportunity, how to get on a team. But if I want to try to answer that in two parts, I don't know anyone that's hiring at the moment for a SOC. But there's always a way to network with folks on LinkedIn. You can, reach out to people. But I think when you reach out to folks, don't just say, hey, I'm looking for a job. have some substance behind what you're asking, because I get those questions, right? If it's on LinkedIn, if it's on Twitter, if it's on Instagram, and like when you reach out, I guess reach out with more with some substance behind your question. Because if you just say, "Hey, what's up? I want to become a hacker," you're gonna get deleted. I don't care. Delete. Like that's just me. I guess like come with me with a purpose,
And
and
to be, not to just so
go
we
ahead.
don't jump back and forth, but like be genuine. I think
Yeah.
is the main thing. Be genuine. Like don't come out like Pat said. Don't come out. Go to make a relationship with that actual person that's gonna
Hmm.
be lasting. Not that hey, I'm here and I want this and I want you to help me with this. Like when me and Pat met, we didn't know each other. I met him by learning and going through this. And the first thing I asked him, he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to get my Discord set up." I jumped in and was like, "Hey," and it wasn't that I was hoping like, "Hey, I'll help you with your Discord. You give me something in return." That wasn't it. It was like,
Hmm.
"Hey, I can help with this dude's Discord, and I'm gonna learn something just by interacting with him." It wasn't me asking for help and like I
Yeah.
expected
You
him
never
to
asked
teach
for
me any.
anything.
Yeah, and that I expected him to teach me anything. It was just, hey, if I help out and I network with people in the community that are teaching stuff, I'm gonna be able to learn. That was just that was just how I thought about it. And then next thing you know, me and Pat are talking. Me and Pat talk daily almost.
Every-
I mean, we've become I think we've become pretty good friends. We chit chat
Yeah.
and we don't and not even all of our conversations are related to work or IT or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like we just we'll find like maybe a day or two a week that we get together and we go over stuff and study and learn. So the main thing is be genuine. Don't try to use somebody and
Hmm.
go into your interaction with them thinking that's how you want to do it, because it's not going to work out. Like he said, they're gonna. That's why you. That's if you're getting ignored a lot, that's probably why. So
Hmm.
be real, man.
Exactly.
Just treat someone how you would want to be treated if you were in a high up position. Like, yeah, all these guys out here that are sharing their knowledge on YouTube, yeah, they want to share that with you and they want to interact with you, but they don't want you to come in and just try to use them for that. That's not why they're doing this.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Like that's the same thing. Like he never asked me for a job. He never asked me for anything. Like literally, my friend, a friend that I knew from high school, posted something on Facebook. And Fernando, if you're watching this is exactly what happened. I'm like, me interacting with Devin for so long, and he was not like, dude, I need to get out of where I'm at. I hate what. No, he's just like, if that opportunity comes about, like, and I seen how hungry he was. I seen like he never worked as a pen tester, and we're doing boxes, and he's understanding when he's running these tools. I'm like, how the hell do you even understand this shit? Like when you haven't even done it, and it's the hunger, right? The eager to learn. Like when he got his Dell switches, he would send me pictures like, dude, like I was able to, configure a layer 3 switch with an IP address, and now I'm creating VLANs. He was lost in the beginning because maybe he never created a VLAN, right? But when he was trying to chop that network up and then have an inter VLAN route between one network to another, without someone that's a mechanic and he's doing this at home for fun, that shows that this dude is eager. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, so when I saw that on Fernando's page, I was like, you know what? Like, I think this will be a good entry point. And I will never recommend someone that I don't trust because I don't want to have that bridge burnt. I don't want to like make me look like a dum dum. Like, yo, because I can possibly see Fernando on not on a daily, but like I could probably run into him and I'm like, yo, this dude just fucking burned me. You know what I mean? He sucks or whatever. He's lazy or whatever the case may be. I wouldn't want to put myself out there being like, Pat recommended this kid to someone that wasn't, a fit. So that's why, and it happened. It happened. I don't know if it was with him or with someone else. Like I recommended a buddy of mine. I don't remember if it was for that. I forget now. It was for a similar position, like a help desk position, and the kid didn't show up the first day. Like he never showed up, and then I don't talk to that person anymore.
Yeah.
But so after that, I was like, never again. I'm like, and I thought this person was, I would go to the gym with him, I would play soccer with him, I would, do all this stuff with him, and he's like, man, I want to get out where I'm at, like, and I was like, okay, like I can see who's hot. No, it was not. I don't think it was Fernando. It was someone else. But now it's coming back to me. It was many years ago, and then I was like, yo, like you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and then his excuse was that the benefits weren't good enough. Like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, so yeah, don't, if you're going to recommend someone, make sure they're legit. So let's see.
For sure.
Hat with the pink top. Hat with the pink top. Hat with the pink top. I don't know what that means, but I applied for 873 jobs last week. Yeah, so I think that's a little of a red flag. I don't know. This is me. I want to speak on my perspective of what you're saying. You applied for a million jobs. Um, Apply for ones that you would really want to work at, not just because it's a job and that you just need a job, right? Because what if, for an example, and this has happened to me, right? This has happened many years ago. I'll put it out there. I don't smoke marijuana. I never smoked marijuana. I never even been drunk. Fun fact, right? So I applied for, a place, but the company didn't really seem like it was, but it was like a herb place. It was like a, what do you call it? Like a dispensary place. And I'm like, oh, I'm not working there. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, and I talked to them and I was like, oh, like this. And they asked me about, are you okay with marijuana and hash and all that stuff? I'm like, I'm okay with it, but I don't want to be around it. You know what I mean? So, so understand what you're, and I applied for that and not knowing what the hell it was. And this was probably 15 years ago, probably. Um, so don't apply for a million jobs. Apply for the jobs that you feel as though that you would want to do and you would want to work for that company, not just because you need a job. Because they'll sense it. You know what I mean? If you're like that serial job hunter, it's no bueno. Thank you guys.
I think another thing, just from just from some people that I guess talking to and hiring managers, because I've met quite a few people, being in this, just chit chatting and stuff like that, and I found that it does make a difference if you're putting out that many applications and you're not getting some type of a response back, something's not happening. You need to take a step back maybe and look at your resume, see what you need to update on there. See what areas maybe you need to look into and gain some skills, certification. I'm not saying quit applying altogether, but just take a step back, take a good overview of what you're doing, what you got on your resume. Are you posting a lot of content on LinkedIn? Because it does make a difference. I mean, the more you're getting seen out there on that, and the more you're seen posting what you're doing, posting what you're doing. I mean, that people look at LinkedIn now. That's a big deal. Obviously, you're on LinkedIn, so you have a some type of a presence there. But just make some changes. If it's not working one way, you can't just continue doing that same thing, hoping for different results. You gotta do something to make a little bit of a change to try. Because if you keep doing it, I don't think you're going to see any different results. And I understand you're probably working and studying towards that path, but make some changes, man. I mean, that's all you can do. That's and it's hard out there. There's especially if it's a remote job. There's thousands of people applying for these things. You got to make yourself stand out.
Yeah, no facts. And Kevin has a good point too. Like it can be a red flag for applying a lot of jobs and not getting any hits. Maybe your resume is an issue. To be honest, I don't even have a resume anymore. I just say go to LinkedIn. But and I don't keep it fully up to date. You know what I mean? But like I just post a lot. I interact a lot, and yeah, that's that. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit. You're in a help desk position now, and they love you there. I know because, like I said, I know them, and so with this, because your main passion or your main goal is to get into cybersecurity.
Mhm.
And I'm sure, for, the company that you're working at will get into that. So what drew your attention to cyber? Like why cyber instead of like DevOps, instead of cloud engineering, instead of application development or whatever? Like why cyber? Like what was like, oh, you know,
So there's actually a couple different things. Like initially, when I got into IT development, some type of development was something that I wanted to get into. And as I was talking about earlier, I started researching and I come across cybersecurity. And like I've always been big, especially with like mechanics and investigation. Like I was an inspector. What I did is went into refineries and inspected anything with metal or stuff without metal as well, and figured out okay, what's wrong with it? How do they need to fix it? That was what I did, and it's a big certification game there too. So I'm very very familiar with that. But once I ran into the field of cybersecurity, I'm like, oh, you get to break stuff. You get to learn how it works, why it works, what you can do to fix it and mitigate those issues. And I was like, I've already been doing some of this stuff, and I did enjoy, the oil field. There was just some changes that needed to be made for me personally, just because it wasn't truly what I wanted to do. There were some aspects about it I liked, but once I found out about cybersecurity, and then penetration testing, penetration testing, and then malware analysis too, because you're really looking at the back end of that malicious file or whatever it may have been that got sent to you, and investigating how it's acting the way it's acting on a system. So learning about all that stuff is really what just kind of got me passionate. I was like, I'm going head first straight into this. This is what I want to learn. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what drove me to cybersecurity, just the whole breaking things and then learning how to fix them at the same time. Kind of you get that whole well-rounded deal.
Gotcha.
Hang on 1 second. My son just walked in. Hang on.
No. That's what happens when you have kids at home.
Yep.
So we talked a little bit, about the certifications in the oil field and all that stuff. Obviously, I'm not going to go on about my certifications. You guys can just see some of those, and I have the OSCP and some other ones too. So in the field, like right now, you're studying for a few, and we're studying for a few together. But I've been slacking. I'm
Mhm.
going to be honest. So, what certs are you working on, and what certs will you recommend folks that are doing what you are doing, like help desk, sysadmin? Because I don't, like you said, you're not doing help desk. Like you're working in Azure, you're working in 365, you maybe doing 365 Defender, looking at different investigations, like you said, phishing, and it's not only like, okay, my password, go to AD, right click, reset password, relog in, and have a good day.
Right.
So, what are you working on any certifications at this very moment?
So I'm working on. So I was really focused on the red teaming side of things, and I'd already been actively working through the PMPT training and stuff like that. I've got an account over there and been going through all of TCM security stuff. But I also, once I jumped into this role, since we're using Azure and all that stuff, I was like, maybe I should look into some of these Microsoft certifications, just so I have more of a broad understanding of everything and get some more real actual training on that type of stuff. So I'm doing some Azure training right now, starting out with just kind of the fundamentals, the 900 over there, and then going to move through those and work through those. Another one that's on my roadmap for this year is Network Plus and Security Plus, just because I'm doing a lot of that stuff as well.
Mhm.
I didn't really look into like the A plus side of things, because a lot of the material I felt like I knew, with what the basics of Windows, what the components are of a computer. I'm sure there's still a lot of knowledge in there that I didn't know, because they touch on a little bit of Network Plus and Security Plus in the A plus as well. But yeah, those are the basic ones. I don't know if I'll do like the PJPT. I think that's their new one that they have
Yeah,
there.
the
Maybe
junior
before
one,
I do
like
the PN.
only internal. It's like an internal AD
Yeah,
compromise. I think the
yeah, maybe do that one
PMPT is
first since they
more.
just released it.
Yeah, so I think the PMPT is more like you have an external facing. You compromise the perimeter, then you pivot your way in, and you use that to compromise the
Yeah,
domain. And yeah, I've never
yeah, but
taken any
those.
of those exams, so I don't know. But obviously, from viewing it, from reading reviews, and just the understanding, and that's what I really like about that versus like the OSCP. Especially when I did it, it was very very. I learned a lot, but what I learned on the OSCP, I didn't really. It didn't really translate to the real world. It was more very CTFy,
Mhm.
like buffer overflows, right? But there was a lot on that 5 years ago, and 6 years ago now. I don't
Yeah.
know. I never touched immunity in 6 years. I never touched this stuff ever, like hardly ever. So unless you're doing that for that kind of pen test, I don't know. Like most of the stuff we're doing is external, internals, phishing, social engineering, Wi-Fi pen testing. Like doing stuff like that versus just like, the low binary stuff and, memory overloads and crash your applications and blah, blah, blah. So let's see if there's any questions. Corey, blah, blah, blah.
Looks like Kevin's running point in there on these questions.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Kev. You took over the Saturday morning fun. But cool. So that's some of the certifications you're working on. And let's see if I had any other questions. Oh, yeah. So as far as platforms, like say, for example, now if someone wants to get, into cybersecurity, since you've been intrigued with the topic, what have you done to better your skills, stay up to par, and just like, what are you using? Like try Hack Me, Hack the Box, VulnHub, local, virtual machines like that, like Metasploitable 2, Metasploitable 3, etc. Like, what are you using?
Everything. I use. It's good to touch it all. So I definitely recommend Try Hack Me to start out with. Go through some of like their paths because they're really good for beginners. They got a lot of interactive hands-on things there as well as reading. So you kind of get and videos like walkthroughs and stuff like that. So you kind of get, no matter what your learning style is, they touch on a little bit of each way to do it. So I think it's really intuitive for newcomers and stuff like that. It helped me out. I actually started with Hack the Box, and it was harder for me to take in that content on Hack the Box being green. Like that was where I first started and didn't really know anything other than watching a few videos. And it was harder for me to take in that material on Hack the Box than it was Try Hack Me. Once I jumped on Try Hack Me and worked through several of the learning paths there and got kind of a good foundation, at least of knowledge wise, that I learned, then moved over to Hack the Box. Hack the Box was so much, like, I wouldn't say it was easy, but I mean, I got the content better and then was able to start working through boxes and all that stuff on there. So and it's good to see that progression as well too. So after I did that, I started going to work on these boxes. Like, oh, I remember learning about this on Try Hack Me. And like, I just would go back, look over my notes or do a Google search and find it. I've done, VulnHub spinning up some stuff. That's some of the not, I wouldn't say it was actually VulnHub, but when you're going into your PEH on TCM security, there's the first machine you actually do on there is something that you spin up in a virtual machine on your own and work through there. So yeah, so I've done a little bit of everything. I definitely suggest doing a little bit of everything. Don't just stick with one thing. Learn from wherever you can learn from. They're all great resources. If you're seeing them a bunch posted somewhere, they're good.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about like when they do their milestones. When you have a milestone, you download a VM and then you throw it.
Yep.
So I think he did that because some people don't have like a Hack the Box subscription, or maybe so you can just download that. And I really like that, like even from VulnHub or whatever, because it's not only the machine that you're penetrating or catching the flag or whatever. It's learning how to network, not network with people, network the workstations together. Because if you boot up a virtual machine and I configured it and I configured that OVA or the VMDK or whatever it is, and I throw it up on Google Drive and I say, yo, D, like download this. And I configured the IP address with, a NAT network, right? And that NAT network is 172.16.12. I don't know why. I always use that. I don't know why. But now maybe you never created a NAT network in VirtualBox. And I think that it's like 10.12.5 or 10.5.12. They will never communicate. So you can do ARP-A, you can do ping, you can do, whatever you want to do to, even Nmap against that, scan against that network, and you'll never find it. So then that's when, because I get those questions on like a lot of my VulnHub machines. I have a whole playlist on VulnHub machines. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, I downloaded this machine, but I cannot ping it or I cannot get to it. It's like, I think you should understand a little more of the networking. And this is why, I say, like networking and understanding how networks traverse data is super important, because how can you hack something when you don't even know how the data traverses, right? When I send a ping request, if it says timeout or request unavailable, that doesn't mean the node is down. That just means ICMP is not accepting ping requests, right? Because I turn ping off everywhere. You know what I mean? And what if I'm allowing maybe SSH? What if I'm allowing TLS or HTTPS or whatever? Now this server is listening on these ports, but I'm blocking ICMP requests, and everyone's like, oh, I can't ping it, it's down. Oh, that's not the case. There's other ways to see if that node is up. This is not a networking course, but this is, understanding those fundamentals, and you have to do that. You definitely have to,
For sure.
so that's definitely a benefit when you download these Vuln machines. And even like from TCM Security, I never touched those boxes. Like the blue. I think he did like Devil. I think it was another one that he did.
I think that's right.
I think, and then I think he did Chioptrix from Vuln, something like that. Telnet IP to port. Yep, exactly. So I wouldn't use Telnet, but you want to make sure that thing is SSH, because obviously Telnet is in plain text. So if you're running Wireshark and you're intercepting that traffic and you authenticate to that switch or that whatever that's running Telnet, it's in plain text. So you want to make sure you don't use that. Yeah, the Google cybersecurity course is actually pretty good. I'm actually going through that. But yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Sorry, I'm just like trying to follow this.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Hello from
Looks like we had.
Not everyone watching the comments. I'm a bachelor's in. Yeah, we are watching, but I'm trying to keep up. But I want to read your comment right now. I don't Paradeep. I'm not Kumar. I don't want to chop up your name, so let me see what you're saying here. If you're watching this comment, graduated, been learning full stack development. Already know the full yeah, same point of view. What do you think I can do? All right. So where are you in the country? I mean, not in the country, in the world. Are you in the States?
Sydney, I think. He's in Australia,
yeah,
I believe.
In Sydney. Oh, yeah. That did it. So obviously I can't speak on that because I'm not, in Sydney. But if I guess my only recommendation is maybe like have like a meetup, like the Meetup app or something like that, and maybe try to meet with folks around your neighborhood or around your area. Maybe they have like a business meeting, or maybe there's people in IT, because you can network with folks on LinkedIn. Obviously, you're going to reach more people on the internet, obviously. But if you maybe connect with people locally, you can have that face-to-face interaction, and you can talk about your experiences, and you can have that interaction, and maybe someone, or maybe see if throw it out there on LinkedIn. Say, hey, I work for free. You know what I mean? I want to learn. I want to get my foot in the door and intern somewhere. And I think I would say 85 to 90% of the time when people intern, it turns into something. Even if they're not hiring, maybe they can see that you're so hungry, you're so dedicated to your stuff. Maybe they know someone in another company that's hiring for that position, even though they're just interning for the summer or whatever. So that would be my recommendation, because I interned many, many moons ago, not in IT and something else, but I learned it, and then obviously I didn't go through with that, but yeah, and
I know it says he's going for a developer too. I'm not sure if you're putting stuff on like GitHub. I'm a developer, but I know that's a big thing to any of your projects. Do lots of projects, put them on GitHub, because when any type of development stuff, I know they reach out to that. Well, with anything, even with cybersecurity, if you're doing anything, developing any attack frames or anything like that, GitHub's great for that, to showcase your work.
Yeah. Cool. So let me see if I have any other questions. That was that one. All right. So for you, I know this is, I think I wrote this question down. I don't even know why I wrote this question down, but I want to see your perspective, and just to see how even though you're not in cyber, right? So do you think it is possible for people to jump straight into a cybersecurity role? Like, do you think without Fernando, the CompuLab, where you're at right now, without that place, do you think you could have skipped that and went right to a cyber role?
I know it's possible. People do it all the time. I think it's more when you go to that, it's kind of hard. You're gonna have a lot harder time, for sure. If you've got some IT experience behind you, you're gonna get it's going to be easier for you to transition to something else when they know you have some fundamentals, some back end, AD, like Pat said, networking, uh, cloud environment, stuff like that. Anything that you have already in your back pocket, it's going to make it easier. That was kind of why I wanted to go this route. And speaking with Pat, he was like, it's a great idea. Like Pat always recommends starting out where you learn stuff like this and get that foundation and understand how things work before you go to try to break them or try to secure them. Because like Pat said, if you don't know how they work, you can't keep it secure, and you're not going to know how to break it. That's just how it is. So you can. People do it all the time, and I know it's possible. But I think I'll have a better foundation, and it'll make me a better security engineer in the future by going the route that I'm going.
Cool. So let's see. I'll put this one up here. Let's see. Show. After my BS in IT, I did CCNA MCSE. Are you an old school MCSE, like 2003 server, or you did it like with 2012, 2016? But currently looking for an IT. How can I? In the future, I think you're on the right track, right? Land that junior IT role or the IT role or network engineer, network admin. Like I said, everyone has their own path, right? You just have to, like Heath Adams, right? Like I love the guy. Like he comes on and says, "There's no one way path." And my path, look, the way I came up in the game is different than Devin, right? He was in oil field, then he got into an MSP, and then he's, God only knows where his future is. But like me, I don't know if people know about my story, but I was in IT and then I got my PayPal hacked, right? And then, like I wasn't expecting to get my PayPal hacked into. And then when my PayPal got hacked, that would really intrigue me how this Nigerian prince took my money and fled the scene. I got my money back, but that's what intrigued me. I never watched, like D said in the beginning, right? Like I never played a video game in my life. I'm not a nerd. I don't do nerdy things. You know what I mean? Did you freeze? Oh no, you just really still. But
I'm just sitting still.
yeah. Like I never been into that world. You know what I mean? Like I'm so different from a lot of people. Like maybe a lot of folks grew up, with computers or video games or nerdy things. You know what I mean? Like I never been into that. I've been in the streets. I was more in the streets and I was doing that stuff, whatever. Like that's my business, but like that's the way I grew up. And then I fell into IT, and then the snowball started, and that's what happened with me. But like yeah, like I don't let the certifications or like the face or whatever behind the camera. It's a different beast. But yeah. He laughs because he knows me behind the camera. But currently going through your 2019 yeah, awesome. Thank you. Uh, that's what that was all about. You know what I mean? Like understand, those fundamentals in that 2019, 2022, pretty much they're similar but different OSs, right? But I think the 2019 one is better. I think I put a little more effort into that one, to be honest, because I had more time on my hands back then. But yeah, Corey, like I'm a unique kid. Pat worked out there before. We have a lot of love and hate. Yeah, with printers. Yeah, actually, a lot of people hate printers. Like a friend of mine, like the one that was up there, like he had some problems with printers, like a scanner or whatever, and it was just because an IP address or whatever, the NIC failed or whatever, and then you couldn't print because the IP wasn't communicating, and then he got a new printer, and then voila, everything started working. Yeah, printers can be, I guess, a pain in the butt, especially if you go into like terminal servers and you're printing through a remote location. It can get a little hairy. You have to add the printer to a print server, then you have to
Mhm.
blah blah blah. So it can get a little hairy mary. That's why understanding what is a group policy. When I apply this group policy, who is it applying to? Oh, I can't print. I don't see that printer because maybe you're not in that organizational unit, and it
Yep.
trickles down to so much stuff. Active Directory is just not right clicking, add a new user, and say, hey
No, it's
D,
not.
log in. Like
Especially when you get terminal servers involved and all that stuff. And external server, like you said, yeah, it's a lot more than disabling an account, adding a user.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more behind the scenes for sure.
Cool. Let's see if I have any other things. This is still a little new for you, but I would say, so what are some things you wish you knew when you started in the career, and what would you tell yourself now what would you do different now? That's
So I
another
guess that would
question I
probably
have.
go back to like to do different. I would have got started sooner for sure. I would have
Mhm,
just stuck out my path back in the early 2000s, about the same time you got started on your journey and into this thing, and
mhm,
just kind of went through with it. Then like I said, I didn't know anything about cybersecurity. Well, at that time, cybersecurity wasn't really a thing. It was information security, but it wasn't. I mean, pen testing wasn't big, stuff like that. It was more, from the way I understand people that talk about it a lot, whoever was doing, if you were a network engineer, you handled the, network security and stuff like that. So
mhm,
that was just kind of how it worked. So it wasn't really as broken out into its own segment of IT yet. But yeah, I wish I just would have it and started whenever I first got into it. As far as with the job, like you said, yeah, it's kind of a little early. I wish I would have, like, I did do a lot of like the fundamentals, but just learning the basic fundamentals like the OSI model and
mhm,
DNS and DHCP, like learning that stuff in the beginning. I just kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to learn cybersecurity. I know I need to know this stuff, but I wish I would have dove more into the intricacies of it, really dug into, Windows Server, stuff like that. I honestly spent more time with Linux, just because, in red teaming side of things, that's you're in Kali Linux all the time. That's a lot of what you're doing. Yeah, you do get into Windows machines and stuff like that when you're trying to compromise them, but again, most of your commands and most of the stuff you have to know is Linux to traverse that. So honestly, when I first came into this, I knew more about the deep intricacies of Linux than I did Windows, and I wish I would have really learned the deep intricacies of Windows first.
mhm,
And I'm learning a lot more of that now. There's just so much. Windows is huge and crazy. But yeah, I think that was it. Just really more focused on the fundamentals. I think I've got a lot of them down. There's still a lot I don't know, and I mean, with this industry, there's a lot all of us don't know, and we're
mhm,
learning every day. That's the whole thing. I mean, if you don't learn something new every day in this industry, or you're not trying to, then probably not going to make it very far. That's just kind of how it goes. There's new exploits that come out, I would say, on an hourly basis,
mhm,
in reality. So
mhm. So I have one more question, and like if you guys want to have some questions in the chat for me or Devin. But I guess the next one, are you excited for DEF CON?
yes, who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna be wild.
yeah, I'm super stoked. That thing can't come soon enough. But yeah, so if anyone is going to DEF CON that's watching this, I'll be out there, D will be out there, Kev Tech will be out there. There's so many folks that I know that'll be out there this year. Um, and if you see me, uh, don't be shy. You know what I mean? Don't be shy to say hello. I'm just a human. Don't think I, and I look at other people the same way. You know what I mean? Be humble, just do you. You know what I mean? If I go to someone that's, I don't know, I don't want to call it internet fame or whatever. Like if I come to you and I say hello and you ignore me, I'll probably smack in the mouth. You know what I mean? Don't treat people differently just because you think you're someone. You know what I mean? Don't ever do that. That's something that's not the thing with me. No, it's penetrating in the gym. Yeah, we're gonna go to the gym too. Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh Lord,
Stay jacked or get hacked, son. But
I'm gonna come back sore. I'll
yeah,
be like, nah,
how
man,
do I get the Bing
I
guns?
can't go today. You done wore me out yesterday. My legs are like Jello.
A lot of pasta and big guns.
A lot of
Pat's a
pasta.
robot. He's too quick on computers. Yeah, yeah, man. Like, no, it's in all honesty, I'm like, this is just shooting the stuff with him, but like, just a chill person. You know what I mean? Like, don't ever think I'm a different breed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a different breed. And Derek's laughing or cryptocurrency because he knows me, right? We just went to the gym this morning before I went on live, so I'm a different kind of breed. But lots of pasta and big guns. Get hacked to state. Get hacked or get jacked. It's get jacked or get hacked. That's the slogan. That's a good saying. Stay jacked to get hacked. Yeah. Team human goes a long way. Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, we have to make a logo and get a shirt made. But yeah, cool. Like, if there's no more questions, we'll wrap up in the next couple of minutes, top of the hour. I know he's going to be busy for the rest of the day. And yeah, everyone that's watching, I really appreciate you hanging out for the hour, shooting the stuff. And like I said, if you guys are going out to DEF CON, holla at me. And hopefully we can have a t-shirt, get hacked or get jacked or get hacked. Hopefully I can get something
Right.
before DEF CON. That'll be pretty funny walking around that thing. I'm pretty, I got little arms, so it's all good. But yeah, man, just exercise. I don't know, like I just work out and just that's my escape, and that's my mental stress relief, and I'm really focused when I'm in the gym. I don't mess around. Beach time, picking up the ladies with the guns. Yeah, yeah, no beach for me. Yeah, the DFS replication video. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll make the logo. Yeah, DEF CON is, when is DEF CON? August 4th?
August 9th.
9th to the
10th.
14th.
Yeah, something like that.
August 9th. Yeah, we'll talk about that, D. Or Derek. Everyone's D around here. But yeah, hitting up the beach with Derek. Yeah, you go, boy. But yeah, sounds good. So no other questions, all like silly stuff. Keep your silly stuff going. And any last words from you, Devin? Like any last words or words of wisdom or whatever you want to call it?
I think just kind of some stuff we touched on, like I was just mentioning, you got to constantly be learning. If you don't, you're going to be behind everybody else, especially when you're out there looking for a job. You got to stay on top of the newest trends. Learn as much as you can. Spend a couple hours a night. I try to spend at least an hour a night learning something. I don't always get to, but I try to. And yeah, man, like if you can, if you have to go, if you're just bound and determined to go straight into cybersecurity, kudos, man. I hope you nail it. But if you can afford to, if you don't have to, if you're not cutting from $150,000 job trying to get into this industry and just need to make a ton of money to survive, I highly recommend the help desk or preferably MSP role. It's been great, and I've learned a lot. The people at the company that I work, they've been fantastic. That's another thing. Hopefully you can land at a company where they promote your growth and learning and want you to succeed, which the company I work for is great about that. Like if I don't know something, I just reach out, they help me, and they don't just tell me, they don't just do it. I guess I should say they show me how to do it. So I'm learning at the same time, which is great. I mean, and I think that's super important to find in a company.
Yeah. And Derek, or cryptocurrency, CompTIA Network Plus to CCNA or Security Plus? That's a good question. So, because he does have his Network Plus.
Okay.
So a little bit about him. Obviously, we only had, and Derek, you can correct me, you could throw in there. So he's like a network admin, system admin guy that he does other stuff too for the company he works for. So he's doing terminal services, and he's doing, Active Directory, some help desk level stuff on an internal. Like he's not working for an MSP, he's working for one company. And I think from knowing him, like I think doing the CCNA is definitely a good route, and then the Security Plus, because they're two different things. It's like saying, okay, do I go get my MD degree and then do I become an attorney? Or no, do you want to be an attorney or a doctor, right? So it's like, you want to get into cyber or like security, or you want to be on a networking space. So I think for you, Derek, like understanding the CCNA, because you have routing, switching, you have some Cisco stuff, you have ASAs or whatever you have now, Cisco switches. So you understand how to manage that a little better. I think that route will be good to go. So I might like the CCNA might be, would probably be better, but I'm not sure my skills high enough to understand the Security Plus off the rip. Maybe CCNA. Yeah, I think the CCNA will definitely be up your alley a little more, because the Security Plus is a little more, security driven, and you already understand, you already did a network plus. So it's like CCNA is a network plus on steroids. Got that test, baby. But I fell off the focus, and he got caught up in crypto. The guy's a millionaire in crypto. But yeah. But Derek, you got me for that support. But yeah, man. So I think that's it. We can talk for hours, and we can, especially him. We call him C4. Inside joke. C4 is obviously a pre-workout,
Yeah.
and he took C4 last week. We went out, and he was like the Energizer Bunny, right? We had to like disconnect his batteries, so his juice started going down. So, but I love him. The kid's a good kid. But yeah, VLANs and cloud knowledge first. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Francisco. But no, I'm not from Boston. I'm from New York originally. I can get really New York. I'm taming it down just for the video. I put my YouTube voice on. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm from New York. I never even been to Boston, so yeah, I'm already pre-work. I'm already ADD pre-workout on top of it. Yeah. I'm pretty New York, Tiff. I'm pretty New York, I gotta say. But all right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Much love you guys, and Devin, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good rest
Thanks
of
for
your
having
day.
me.
And I really appreciate it, and more to come. I'll be here next week with Kevin again to do some more of the red teaming stuff that we started last week. So tune in for that, and I have some stuff in the pipeline. So hopefully it's enjoyable. So have a great Saturday, folks, and thank you.